in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Next up on Start Here, it's the big companies getting all the attention, but your local businesses might be suffering the most from coronavirus. One of the single biggest things that public health officials have been trying to drive home recently is coronavirus is really, really bad in China, right? Tens of thousands of infections. At this point, most of the country, almost 1 billion people, are being restricted from traveling. Health officials say that is all true. That is horrible, but that's also China. As long as we are judicious about it here, we will probably be okay. What happens in China does not always directly translate. That's the healthcare way to look at it. It's a lot different in the financial world.
We are closely monitoring the emergence of the coronavirus, which could lead to disruptions in China that spill over to the rest of the global economy.
And this week, we're getting an even better sense of what that means for some of America's biggest companies and what it means for American workers. ABC's chief business and economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis is with me here. And so, Rebecca, let's start with a company everybody knows, Apple, right? What happened this week that put up such alarm bells?
So Apple came out and said coronavirus is not only causing issues for the supply of things like our iPhones, but it's also causing issues for sales in China because Apple not only is producing, but they also sell a lot of iPhones in China, and they're seeing the issue of the coronavirus hit them in both places.
It's not just factory workers, it's also their customers.
That's right, exactly, Brad.
The world's largest tech company lost roughly $30 billion in market value Tuesday after warning it could no longer stand by its first quarter sales forecast because of a double whammy to the iPhone from the coronavirus.
And ultimately, they're saying there is a worldwide shortage right now of iPhones. Apple is saying we're not going to hit those expectations because of coronavirus.
How worrisome is that? Is that just an Apple problem? Is that bigger? How worrisome is this?
It's a broad issue for any company that manufactures or sells in China.
Analysts say the virus may slash demand for smartphones by half in the first quarter in China, the world's biggest market for the devices.
And frankly, I hear it from a lot of smaller companies right now based in the US, because a lot of small companies are manufacturing makeup, purses, shoes. These are the little entrepreneurs, you might even know one, who are manufacturing the majority of their things in China and then selling them here in the US. And a lot of them tell me manufacturing has been completely shut down. They don't know when they're going to get their items shipped. So while they've promised customers either through websites, a lot of companies, you buy things on their website, they don't have a big stock room filled with merchandise. Instead, they're going to China when they get your order and saying, okay, make me 1,000 more of these. And they're not getting that merchandise.
Because, do we know what's happening? Are factory workers just not allowed to show up to work? Or is it?
They're not showing up to work. That's what's happening. I've heard that a lot of smaller plants have been shut down. People are afraid to show up to work, frankly. And so the smaller entrepreneurs who are on a daily basis trying to reach their Chinese counterparts might not even be reaching anyone because they're not in the office to answer the phone.
Probably still need some time. Actually, everyone is still feeling nervous.
And they're taking precautions and staying home. And even though that job is the paycheck that puts food on their table, they're weighing it and saying, actually, I don't want to put myself potentially at any kind of risk.
There will clearly be implications, at least in the near term, for Chinese output, and I would for Chinese output, and I would guess for some of their close-in neighbors, and we'll just have to see what the effect is globally.
Apple gets priority. Big companies, when the line gets back on board, they're going to get priority. They're first down the line. A lot of these manufacturing facilities in China, they're not single product. They might be manufacturing bikes and lipstick and shoes and clothes all in the same facility. Now, the big players get priority. If you're a big company and you do millions of dollars in business,
rush out
your
those
stuff
iPhones.
goes exactly. But if you're one of the smaller players that does a few items here and a few items there, they're saying you're going to have to wait. And that's where really, the entrepreneurs in this country who are manufacturing things there are really nervous because they're used to being at the back of the line. But they're not used to being at the back of the line when the line is shut down.
Yeah, you think of how interwoven our economy is with China. It's not just the apples. They're thinking about the long term. It's also the mom and pop shops who are now just worried about getting to next month or next year. Rebecca